listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good afternoon, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Thursday, August the 1st. I am your host, Mike Oliva, flying solo today. And we're going to talk about everything that took place on the practice field this morning at Miami Dolphins training camp. And I will read the reports from some of the reporters on site to get that firsthand knowledge. They're there. They know what's going on. And we'll discuss it. I'll share my thoughts and everything like that. But before we get to that, this show today is brought to you by Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, the Miami Heat, the Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a gift, or the newest hat to hit the market for your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida, Caneswear has it all. If you're not in South Florida, don't worry. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home, and they'll ship it to you internationally as well if you're not in the United States. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com. Also, before we start, a big shout out to everyone listening at FinHeaven.com. Everyone go to FinHeaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. And a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, go to the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, like and subscribe. Also, wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Podbean, Podchaser, YouTube, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss an episode. When you hit that subscribe button, it'll go straight to your smart device. It's free, so you won't miss any episodes. We have shows each and every day of the week. Yesterday, we had 3 shows. Today, we're going to have 2 shows. We have shows. You don't want to miss them. And as always, thank you. We know there are so many podcast options out there, not just with the Miami Dolphins, but with the NFL, fantasy football, true crime, politics, the Olympics. You name it, there's a million podcast options. We want to thank you for giving us a few minutes of your day each and every day for listening. Without you, there's no us, and we do appreciate you listening. Okay, like I said, yesterday, Willie Snead was the signing for the Dolphins. Is what it is. We'll see what goes on there. I think he was signed because Eric Uzakama doesn't seem to be 100% yet, or has another injury, I guess I should say. I'm not even sure myself. But Snead was at practice today. Also, before I start with the training camp notes and rundown, SiriusXM NFL Radio was at Miami Dolphins training camp today, and they were broadcasting for 2 hours from like 1 to 3. They had a ton of great interviews. They interviewed Mike McDaniel. Awesome. They interviewed Javon Holland. Awesome. They interviewed Tyreek Hill, Chop Robinson, but the best interview was Tua. And if you want to hear these interviews, because I know some people don't have SiriusXM, or you're at work and you just missed it, or you didn't even know about it, go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com. I have all the interviews up. You can listen to them. Or if you're on social media, on Twitter, X, whatever the heck we're calling it this week, go on Twitter, X, and search at Dolphins Talk. I got all the interviews there. The Tua one, you're going to want to listen to for sure. Listen to it first. It is so good. Now, with Tua, this is year 5, and it sounds like a guy who's more comfortable in his skin, more comfortable talking to the media, more comfortable being a vocal leader, more comfortable being an NFL quarterback. He was awesome in this interview. He spoke to the reporters, and he told the reporters, he goes, look, guys, at one point in the interview, he goes, I don't know you. He goes, I'm sure you're nice people, and I don't know what you think of me as a quarterback or as a player or as a person. And he goes, I don't care. He told the 2 people interviewing him, I don't care what you think of me. He goes, I block it all out, and that's the best way to be as a quarterback and a leader. He goes, I literally don't care what you think of me. He goes, I don't know what you think of me, but I don't care. Then he spoke about how this team this year is going to be run by the players. It has to be led by the players. He goes, yes, the coaches are important and stuff, but we have to hold ourselves accountable as players. And he goes, including myself as a leader now, or as a leader, he didn't say now, as a leader on this team, we have to just hold ourselves accountable, and we have to run this team. And he spoke about just so much stuff. And this was the best Tua interview I've ever heard. He wasn't nervous. He was relaxed, and he exuded more confidence than I've ever heard out of this kid in the first 4 years he's been here combined. This interview was so friggin' good. If you're a Dolphins fan, I don't care what you think about Tua. You have to listen to this interview. Go to DolphinsTalk.com. You can find the article or the page where I put all the Sirius XM interviews. Tua's at the very top. Listen, you can't miss it. Or social media on Twitter, X, search at Dolphins Talk. You have to listen to this interview. It was so good. Okay, let's get right to the practice notes. Thursday, August the 1st. First bit of notes from Omar Kelly, the Miami Herald. To see all of Omar's work, go to the Miami Herald website and follow Omar on Twitter at Omar Kelly. He does amazing work. So here's some of Omar's notes from this practice. Some of them. This was a day where Tua and Tyreek put on a show. They connected on at least 6 completions during 11-on-11 drills. Anthony Weaver experimented with some different blitzes, and on those blitzes, only one went for a long gain between Tua and Tyreek. The defense wasn't totally helpless, though. Miami's, they had a couple nice plays, sort of slowing down the Tua to Tyreek show. Benito Jones and Zach Sealer appeared to sack Tua on one play, but Tua threw the ball anyways, and he threw a perfect 40-yard strike to Tyreek. So this was a real game, probably would have been a sack. It's not. They let the play continue to go. Tyreek beat Kader Kohu 40 yards. Tua hit him on the button. On another play, there appeared to be some miscommunications between Tua and Tyreek, and the ball did fall incomplete. One other rep, Kader Kohu knocked away an 8-yard pass to Tyreek Hill in 11-on-11 drills, and Quentin Bell and Zach Sealer limited Hill to a 4-yard gain on another play. New linebacker Jordan Brooks broke up a Tua pass to Tyreek in red zone drill. So the defense did make some stops, but Tua to Tyreek was the main thing of this practice. Those guys were on fire. So while Tua to Hill had some solid gains, there were a couple stops from the defense. This wasn't okay. Tua beat Ethan Bonner for a nifty 10-yard sideline completion to Waddle. He also hit Julian Hill for a 34-yard touchdown throw, which appeared to be busted coverage. On that play, Kendall Lamb had good protection against Quentin Bell, which not many people have. Quentin Bell's been putting on a show. Late in practice, Tua hit Waddle in the back of the end zone. Ethan Bonner was beaten on that play. Quentin Bell might have had a sack. Again, might have had a sack. They let the play go so just they can get the rep in. Tua hit Achane for another touchdown in red zone drills. Nobody was close to Achane. And Tua hit Jaquan Burton for another touchdown in red zone drills. Tua targeted Pro Bowl cornerback Jaylen Ramsey 3 times in the final minute of practice, and he connected on 2 of them, including one of them a long touchdown to Waddle. So end of practice, guys like to have a little fun sometimes. Tua went after Ramsey, obviously the best corner on the field. He beat him 2 or 3 times. Tua hit Waddle for a splendid 43-yard pass in the final 10 seconds. That was the play. The 43-yard pass where he beat Waddle. Tua, who lost weight, scrambling a little bit. He ran up the middle for a first down on a 3rd and 5. From Omar, Willie Snead Jr., who signed on Wednesday. He doesn't seem as explosive or move as well he did early in his career. Mike White did hit him for a 10-yard pass in one sequence. Guys who weren't at practice. Salvon Ahmed, we know he's injured, wasn't there. Cam Smith, injured, wasn't there. Anthony Walker, not sure what's going on there. Jordan Poyer, veteran rest day. Eric Uzakama, injured somehow, which is why I think we signed Snead, actually. Tight end Jonnu Smith, veteran rest day. Neville Gallimore, again, not sure what's going on there. Cam Smith has a lower body injury, so that's what's going on with Cam Smith. So if you're hearing other stuff, it's not true. Teron Armstead was limited to only doing individual drills, which we know he's on like a maintenance plan, and he was seen sprinting on the far field when everyone else was practicing. Armstead can just worry about it. We're fine with Armstead. He didn't have to practice every day. He's too good. Can't lose him. Put him in bubble wrap. Devon Achane wore the orange jersey because of his practice the last time they had a practice on Tuesday. So congratulations to Mr. Achane. Ethan Bonner had a tough day after a strong first week. Well, when you're guarding Hill and Waddle, you're going to have tough days at camp. I'm not holding it against the kid. It's fine. It's totally understood. Former Bills cornerback Sirianni Neal, he had an interception on Skylar Thompson on the pass to Malik Washington. Also in one-on-ones, Tyreek Hill beat Ramsey for a touchdown on a pass from Tua. And on another play, though, Ramsey did knock the ball away from Hill, preventing a touchdown. Jaylen Phillips is running full speed in his rehab work, so that's promising and good news there. Bradley Chubb, though, has been watching practice and has not done any running, or at least he hasn't done any running that the people in attendance have noted for when the reporters can watch. Now, maybe he's doing it behind the scenes. Maybe he's doing it some other time. But when everyone's out there watching, no one's seen Chubb run yet. So take that for what it's worth. And he might be running. We just don't know. But no one's seen it yet, unlike Jaylen, who everyone's seen it. Wisconsin rookie corner Jason Mateer, he continues to have some good moments. He tackled River Craycraft short of the end zone on the Skylar Thompson throw in red zone drills. And 11-on-11 drills, Mostert turned the corner on a long run. And when it comes to Mostert, they're watching how many snaps. Again, older guy, has a long history of injuries. Don't need to see him in August, especially August 1st. So they're watching how much work he does. Agba snuffed out Waddle on an end around. Agba continues to play well. Rookie fifth-round pick Malik Washington couldn't hold on to a low pass from Thompson. Washington's had a rough camp. I know it's a week, and he's a rookie, so I'm not going to go hard on the kid, but it hasn't been a good week. Teair Tart snuffed out a Jaylen Wright run for a short game. Tart and Benito Jones remain in a competition for the starting nose tackle job, and per Omar, too close to call on who's got the lead. A 15-yard bullet from Tua to Tyreek was nullified by an illegal shift. So they had referees at this practice today. I should have said that at the top. Referees were at the practice today, throwing the flags and everything. So that's why, false starts, I'm going to read about soon. They were called. And here was an illegal shift, which nullified a 15-yard gain. Achane had a nice burst up the middle for a sizable gain. Robert Jones and Kendall Lamb had solid blocks on the play. Chris Brooks hit a nice inside zone run. He's hit a quiet camp for Omar. Javon Holland sacked Tua on a blitz, but there was a holding penalty on the defense. Again, refs are holding on defense. That sack wasn't counted. False starts were a problem Thursday. Lamb had one of them. Anthony Weaver did experiment with several blitz packages, which caused some of the issues with the false starts. Mohamed Kamara sacked Mike White in 11-on-11 drills. The rookie pass rusher continues to flash and impress. Nick Needham broke up a Mike White pass to Washington, and per Omar, and I've heard this from other people, Malik Washington hasn't distinguished himself so far. Again, it's a week. He's a rookie. But I think a lot of people thought to start the season he'll be the third or fourth wide receiver making plays. He might not even be active. He might not be playing much until he's got to turn it around here. Now, he's got joint practices coming up. He's got all the preseason games he's going to play. Hopefully he can sort of, pick up the pace here a little bit. But right now, and that might be another reason why they signed Snead, wide receiver depth might not be what we thought here. And rookies, it takes time. You can't depend on them. You just never know. Curtis Bolton tackled Jaylen Wright close in line of scrimmage for a short game. Bolton has flashed since joining the team last week per Omar, so that's good to hear. Skylar Thompson's accuracy remains hit or miss, because he's not very good. He was way off on a sideline throw to Achane, but he also had several nice throws, including a sideline pattern to River Craycraft. Jason Sanders hit 2 field goals roughly around 28 yards, although Ramsey nearly blocked one. Jeff Wilson Jr. was back at practice. He had a short run for no gain. Now, Jeff Wilson limped off the practice field Tuesday, back today. Harris stopped him for like a no gain on the third down run. Deshaun Hand and Chop Robinson shared a sack on Skylar Thompson, who couldn't find an open receiver. Robinson continues to flash as a pass rusher, but he must show he's trustworthy setting the edge in the running game. That's the thing, Chop. I don't know if he's going to start week 1 against Jacksonville, but he's going to play a lot in passing downs. I just worry that, and I saw someone else report this too. I forget who, or else I give him credit. I saw the tweet on X that Chop Robinson is easily blockable in the run game. That's going to be an issue. But getting after the quarterback won't be, and he's a beast. Jody Fortson Jr., the tight end, hasn't had a strong start to camp. He dropped the ball today. Quentin Bell beat Lamb for a sack. Bell's been unbelievable this first week. Can't wait to see where this goes with Quentin Bell. I am very high on Quentin Bell. He beat Kendall Lamb for the sack, as I said. Devon Achane got called for a holding penalty on a throw from Mike White to River Craycraft. The ball bounced off his chest, but Craycraft still found a way to hold on to it. Robert Jones, who I think is going to start at one of the guard spots, and Kendall Lamb had a nice block on a sizable run by Raheem Mostert. Jones has had a very good camp. That's why I think he's going to win a starting job. I've heard the same thing from other people. Mike White misfired on a pass to Tanner Connor in red zone drills, and Duke Riley tackled Jeff Wilson Jr. for a loss on a running play. So that's Omar. Now, I'm going to give you Chris Perkins as well from the Sun Sentinel. If there's anything that's a duplicate, I'll let you know. Jason Sanders, who booted the Dolphins, was 3 for 3 to open practice. So aside from the short ones that Omar spoke about, Chris Perkins said to open practice, Sanders hit from 35, 44, and 43 yards. So Jason Sanders midseason form. Let's see, we already went over that. In the first session of one-on-ones between the running backs and tight ends, versus safeties and linebackers, it appeared that the defense had the edge. Highlights included Marcus May's one-handed interception, defending tight end Julian Hill, safety Jordan Colbert's defensive tight end Hayden Rucci on a poorly thrown pass, and tight end Jody Fortson Jr.'s nice jumping grab in the back of the end zone against safety Patrick McMorris. So here's a play where Jody Fortson had a nice play here that wasn't covered in the early report because, as I always say, one reporter can't see everything. There's too much happening at once. Mike White overthrew running back Raheem Mostert in the end zone versus linebacker Duke Riley. Tight end Durham Smythe got open, but then fell in the end zone while being defended by Elijah Campbell. Ramsey, the future Hall of Famer, is indeed being used as a chess piece. I'd invite those at practice to pay attention to where he lines up. So last year, the big gripe amongst players in the Dolphins and fans of the Dolphins is Vic Fangio would keep Xavier Howard on one side, Jalen Ramsey on the other, and nobody would ever move anywhere. It didn't matter if they were going up against a crappy wide receiver, a great wide receiver. You didn't have Ramsey move with a great wide receiver. So right now, since this practice is open to the fans and the public, the reporters can say what's going on. And Chris Perkins is pointing out that Ramsey is that chess piece, lying up maybe in the slot, lying up on the right, lying up on the left. Maybe he's even lying up at safety. I don't know. But the point is they're moving him around, and that's what needs to be done. Ramsey's a Hall of Fame player. He's their best guy in the secondary. Move him around. Tua had a nice blitz read pass to Waddle against Ethan Bonner. Waddle has been amazingly consistent so far in camp, and he goes, and good. What else we got here? Nick Needham had a nice pass breakup against Malik Washington. Nick Needham's had a decent camp per Chris Perkins. He and Campbell could be ahead of fellow safety Marcus May, but be clearly behind starters Holland and Poyer. So Needham at safety. We spoke about this all offseason. He's been practicing there, training there. He might pass Marcus May here, who's brought in as a safety, who's only a safety. Nick Needham can play slot corner and safety and boundary corner. Nick Needham, I know it's been a while since we've seen the Nick Needham of a couple of years ago because of injuries, but if he's back in the same Nick Needham pre-injury and he can play safety, slot corner, and boundary corner, that'd be fantastic because that is someone who's worth their weight in gold. So everyone's rooting for Nick Needham. I mean, who doesn't like Nick Needham? Quentin Bell had a nice stop on Chris Brooks in 11 on 11s. There were no pads in this practice. So take that into – so when you hear tackle and stuff, they're not really tackling. There's no practice. This was after 2 days with pads. This one had no pads. So by tackling, in air quotes, type of deal. Tyreek Hill hit a nice 20-yard reception against Kader Kohu. See anything else? And that's pretty much it. All the other notes are the same that I already read with Omar. So that's it for Miami Dolphins practice on Thursday. Now, if you're listening this Thursday night, there's actually an NFL preseason game tonight. Houston against whoever they're playing. I can't remember right now. And then next week, we're 8 days away from the first Miami Dolphins preseason game next Friday night. Not tomorrow or not if you're listening this Friday morning. Not today. A week from Friday. What's that? The 9th, August 9th. Dolphins play first preseason game versus Atlanta. Can't wait. And yeah, I think with these training camp reports right now, like a weekend, the positives, I'd say, are Tua looking like a dude, like the guy, the man. Quentin Bell, Chop Robinson, Muhammad Kamara, are they perfect? No, but better than advertised and like ahead of where they probably should be. Quentin Bell, not so much, but the two rookies for sure. What else? I'd say, yeah, those are probably the biggest positives. The biggest negatives, offensive line, straightening that up. And I'd say wide receiver depth seems to be an issue. Obviously, Hill and Waddle are great. I think OBJ is going to come back and be fine. Who's going to step up? I mean, River Craycraft, Braxton Berrios, sorry. Eric Izakama's already out. So we'll see. We will see what's going on there. But yeah, I would say Quentin Bell is the guy who sort of stood out the most for the Dolphins. Quentin Bell is 28 years old. And, he started with the Raiders in 2019, 7th round pick, practice squad. Tampa Bay, he didn't last long. He was with the Raiders till October 15th. Okay. Then Tampa Bay for 2019, 2020. Atlanta 2021, 2022. Eagles last year, practice squad. No, Eagles last year in camp. He was cut at the end of camp. And then Miami signed him to the practice squad on mid-October last year. So he's been, Quentin Bell has been in Miami since October 17th last year, just on the practice squad. And, some guys, it takes them longer to develop. Some guys, it takes a little longer for the light bulb to go off. And with some guys, they need an opportunity to play more. And it looks like Quentin Bell, through 1 week of this camp, has either he's gotten an opportunity to shine or something's clicked to where the player he's been since 2019 in the NFL, all the hard work up to this point is now paying off. So God bless Quentin Bell, man. As I always say, these reporters on site, they do great work. Follow them all at the Sun Sentinel, Palm Beach Post, at the Miami Herald, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, and they're all doing great work. But if you sat them in a room and asked them what they want for lunch, they couldn't agree. When everyone's saying Quentin Bell is looking like a stud out there, and they all agree on it, that means that's good news. So I'm rooting for the kid. He's quickly becoming a fan favorite. So hope for the best for there. 28 years old, finally getting his big break here. Went to Prairie View A&M from Costa Mesa, California. The Quentin Bell Show. Let's go, baby. Quentin Bell. All right, that's all for today's show. Everyone go to the website, DolphinsTalk.com. We got a bunch of new content up. Everyone check out our social media handles at Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, and TikTok at Dolphins Talk. We got new content up on all those platforms there. Podcasts. Josh and Aaron are going to have a new show on Thursday evening. Marissa Marino did the Ladies Night panel. Check that out. Myself and Robert Burns Wednesday did a show. And earlier this week, Marissa Marino interviewed Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. If you haven't listened to that one, after you listen to the Tua interview on SiriusXM, listen to the Cam Wolf interview earlier this week if you haven't yet here at DolphinsTalk.com. Once again, everyone have a great Thursday night. Have a great Friday if you're listening Friday. We will talk to you again tomorrow with more practice notes and any news that takes place and injury updates. So stay tuned to right here at the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. Subscribe, hit that like button on YouTube, and we'll talk to you again. And folks, please don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.